Well, hello. I'm Dr. Emilio Hangazadeh, and it's my pleasure to serve as your instructor for this seminar in Learning Management Systems. This 4-week seminar is broken into 4 modules, each corresponding to a week's worth of learning. As districts move to online and blended learning processes, a learning management system, or LMS, becomes more and more a critical component of the services provided by the educational organizations. And so this course introduces you to the attributes of an LMS and leads you down the path of selection and implementation of an LMS for your school site or district. Now, during week 1, we'll take a look at the big picture and learn all about what an LMS is. We'll give considerable thought to how leaders can select the right LMS for their educational environment, as well as to look into effective implementation processes. During the second module, we'll dig deeper into various technologies for asynchronous content delivery. The third module is dedicated to studying effective instructional design for online teaching and learning. And then finally, during the week 4 module, you'll be engaged in analyzing 2 LMSs and making a presentation with regards to the pros and cons of each. This course is developed based on the text Learning Management Systems, Best Practices in Online Education by Dr. Efim Katz. Dr. Katz is an assistant professor in computer science and information technology at Chestnut Hill College in Pennsylvania. Although purchasing the textbook is not required, we strongly recommend you purchasing it as it contains far more detail about the topics we'll be looking at in this course. Now, I'm sure that as experienced learners, you know the importance of reviewing all of the course content and submitting all of your work in a timely manner. If you haven't already reviewed the syllabus, stop right now and get into it. The syllabus is the guiding document for this course, and you should be intimately familiar with it. Now, having said that, let's jump in. Education technology is nothing new. Arguably, it dates back hundreds of years to the use of the horn book, which originated sometime during the 15th century. Of course, through the ages, we've come a long way with regard to technologies for learning, from the school slate to the chalkboard, to the pencil, to the film projector, the radio, overhead projectors and pens, to videos and television, and of course, the more modern technologies such as computers and the internet. But through the ages, many educational technologies simply never caught on. For example, the stereoscope, used circa 1905, or the reading accelerator, circa late 50s, or the Skinner teaching machine. Famed psychologist B.F. Skinner developed a series of devices that allowed a student to proceed at his own pace through a regimented program of instruction. Now, of course, the Skinner teaching machine fell to the wayside, just another casualty in the education technology integration process. But arguably, the Skinner machine was the first iteration of what we call today the learning management system. Now, there are different types of LMSs. There are server-based systems and cloud-based systems, but at its core, an LMS is a software program that interfaces with a database containing information from and about users, courses, and content. It's a virtual space for learning and teaching activities that are not wholly dependent on time boundaries nor spatial boundaries. Sometimes they're referred to as course management systems, or CMSs, or personal learning environments, or virtual learning environments, which is what they primarily refer to them as in Asia and Europe. Obviously, we'll be looking at LMSs in this course from the standpoint of academia, but it's important for you to note that business and industry also use LMSs, mostly for human resources training programs like sexual harassment or other compliance-stemmed learning programs. The big business LMSs out there include Skillsoft, Element K, and Oracle's PeopleSoft system. But again, we're not going to be looking at the LMSs from that perspective. The most common features of academic LMSs were categorized by Dabar and Banan-Ritland as follows. 1. Content creation and display tools. 2. Communication tools. 3. Assessment tools. And 4. Administrative tools. LMSs allow instructors to generate course content within an embedded text editor or via uploaded documents or assets such as videos and images or audio. They'll often include hyperlinks to external resources too. Almost without exception, an LMS also provides a Dropbox function that allows learners to submit assignments for the teacher to review and provide feedback. Of course, all of these elements can be organized by the instructor into folders and subfolders, and this content can be revealed to learners based on time intervals or, in some cases, based on prerequisite work. Secondly, an LMS generally provides a set of tools for instructors and students to interact with one another in asynchronous settings. Now, you'll hear terms like asynchronous and synchronous many times throughout this entire program. Synchronous simply means in real time, and asynchronous simply means not in real time. Some of these tools include internal messaging systems, chat systems, whiteboarding systems, threaded discussions and fora, and file sharing as well. Next, the LMS generally provides several ways to assess and survey students, as well as to track their progress along a learning path. And finally, LMSs generally provide a control panel or back-end access for the instructors or other organizational leaders to manage the settings for content creation, communication, and assessment tools. Now, as I mentioned earlier, your big Module 4 project is going to be one in which you'll be providing a synchronous presentation based on your analysis of 2 LMSs. And here's a scenario. You are the Director of Education Technology for the California Unified School District, and your superintendent has tasked you with developing a selection and integration plan for the use of an LMS. Your presentation to the superintendent and the Board of Education should profile the pros and cons of 2 LMSs that you've determined to be the top candidates for adoption. The Board of Education, in consultation with school principals and the Director of Curriculum and Instruction, has determined that all middle schools and high schools in the district will use the LMS and that the integration process can last no longer than a 2-year period. You're working with 5 middle schools and 3 comprehensive high schools. The school profiles will obviously be provided for you as well. Your presentation should include the following: how you determined the specific needs of the organization, a profile of the 2 LMSs, how and what you researched in order to ensure infrastructural integrity for the integration plan, what external pools of expertise did you consult with in making your determinations, and what were your findings, and then finally, a plausible field testing plan. Now, each week of this seminar, you should plan on conducting an analysis of 2 LMSs on the market. This will involve you accessing a trial version of the available LMSs and spending a considerable amount of time investigating them. Now, I'm not going to limit your choices of LMSs, but I will tell you that the dominant LMSs in academia include the following: Blackboard, Moodle, Desire to Learn, Sakai, Pearson Learning Studio or Open Class, and Instructure's Canvas. Of course, there are many others, including Edmodo, Haiku, Pearson eCollege, Schoology, and so forth. So it's up to you. But believe me when I tell you that learning about these tools is no easy task, especially when you consider that you need to provide a comparative analysis, and many of the features of these LMSs aren't on the surface the same. You'll need to ferret out all the nuances. For example, what's the process for onboarding student data and creating user accounts in the specific LMSs that you're reviewing? How cumbersome is the creation and management of course shells? Do they integrate with the school district's student information system? And what's the process therein? What sort of online help guides are provided? What are the one-time costs and ongoing costs with maintaining the LMS? What external tools like Twitter or Google Docs can be integrated into the LMS, if at all? And can the gradebook system of the LMS be integrated into the gradebook system of the school district, and so forth? Now, of course, we'll take a look at all of these questions more in depth during the next few weeks, but what I'm trying to impart is that you should plan to spend at least 3 to 4 hours a week getting to know various LMSs so that you can prepare for your final Module 4 presentation. Okay, well, this should be fun. Remember to keep the end in mind, and in this next section, we're going to be learning about some macro scale considerations to look at when learning about LMSs. So let's get to it.